Hi, friend.
Hi, Lex. How's it going?
It's going good. Guys, we are recording our very first video podcast. If you're listening to this, you can now also watch this on YouTube.
So you had to put clothes on today, is what you're telling me.
I had to put clothes on. I just brushed my hair kind of, and I put on a little lip gloss. And seriously, why we're doing this, Emily and I like to practice what we preach, and we just got out of a team meeting and we were brainstorming new ways we want to market our business in 2023. And I have been getting quite a few sales calls from the PR bar, my other entity, if you're new here, from YouTube videos I posted years ago. I mean, years. And so we already spend all this time recording this podcast. Why not brush our hair once in a while and throw it on YouTube?
So, Lexie, what were the videos that you posted? Like, give examples of what the videos represented. What was the meat and potatoes of the videos?
The meat and potatoes were a lot of how-to tips. So how to pitch Haro, how to pitch a gift guide, top pitching do's, top pitching don'ts. So really bite-sized, searchable videos. I mean, 3 to 5 minutes max. And to this day, I don't know why. I look back at them and I shudder because they're so bad, but they're bringing me business. So there's something to this YouTube thing.
And how long are they? You said like 1 or 2 minutes?
3 to 5.
3 to 5 minutes. 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, cool. I love it. So should we do some kind of how-tos for Ready, Set, Coach?
We will, but one more thing, just to reiterate, I just downloaded the PR State of the Media report for 2023, and podcasting continues to be the top trend to watch, and video podcasting is really rising. So anyways, just throwing out some random facts to justify why I have to get dressed now.
Don't worry, she still has sweatpants on the bottom.
Definitely do. And you should see my socks. Actually, it's a video podcast. You can't see my socks. This will be a real treat, everyone. Wait.
Oh,
No?
oh, wow. Oh, they're so lucky. What a gift. So for those listening, I'm going to describe them. They are pink, fluffy socks, and they have a snowman hat on them. So speaking of socks, Lex, for Christmas, my mom gave all of us the gift that keeps on giving. She gave us all Bombas. And I don't know if you own Bombas or if you don't own Bombas.
My daughter does. I have baby Bombas, remember?
We got baby Bombas for Jackson too, but Bombas are the best. Literally, my feet feel like they're walking on like little marshmallows, and I get excited to put socks on during the day. And she got us Bomba slippers too. So anyways, brought to you by Bomba.
Bombas, brought to you by Bombas. Bombas are kind of expensive, and it's really relevant to say that because today we're gonna talk about some other things that can be expensive and cannot be expensive if you get scrappy. Basically, today's episode is how much it costs to launch and grow a coaching business.
And Lex, I love that. I love that transition. I love that you just opened a bottle of champagne, basically, or made the gesture. Is that what you just did? You sabered champagne?
No, I just did the
I thought you were sabering. You see where my brain's at. I'm like, you're sabering champagne.
Squirrel. I saw Emily actually saber champagne bottle. That's one of your fun facts.
One of my fun facts. Very easy to teach. So if you want to learn, just DM me. But I was going to say, similar to Bombas, I think it is like what you mentioned. It's a luxury. It can feel like it's not worth it. There's so many other socks on the marketplace. But when you do make the investment in this luxury Bombas, you appreciate it. You really appreciate it. They go longer. They last longer. They feel better. And they give you the support and the cushion and all the things that you're looking for in a sock that you might not find in your Walmart socks.
See what you did there? I like it.
Bringing it back to coaching, we're going to talk about doing it yourself versus outsourcing. And I'm not encouraging you to make your own socks here, people. That's not the lesson today.
Not the lesson today, but if that's what you take away, that's what you take away. More power to you. Yeah. So look, when you are starting a coaching business or a side hustle, there are going to be a lot of things on the table that can require cost. And we're going to talk through the first investments that we made individually and also reflect back on some things that maybe we wish we hadn't done or had done, and alternatives if you don't want to invest, how you can get scrappy. So Emily, do you want to kick us off? What was the first thing that you invested in for your business?
The first thing that I invested in was a lawyer. And I was scrappy with this lawyer. I knew I was leaving my corporate job, and I asked everyone that I worked with if they had a lawyer recommendation. And this woman who was so wonderful, her husband, she volunteered her husband up as tribute to get me filed and to get me registered. And he did it for a very he waived his fee, and he just charged me the registration fee, which I thought was really, really gracious. And I was very appreciative, especially being a 20-something-year-old who at that time didn't have that much money to my name.
That's wonderful. I too started with the lawyer, but I paid the lawyer in full because I just didn't have that option. And so you guys know, yes, you can pay a lawyer, but you're also going to have additional costs. And some are registration fees of setting up a business. For example, are you going to be an LLC or a S Corp or a sole proprietorship? So that's one. There's also going to be registration fees depending on where you live. So, and I mean, it really depends. For example, I live in the city of Ventura. So there's a California fee, but there's also, I have a city business tax license fee annually. So when you're thinking about investment costs, there's the lawyer, there's all the setting up of your business. There's also costs if you want to invest in getting bulletproof contracts.
Yeah. And I think it's great that you mentioned that, because I set up my business initially in New York City. And in New York, there was this law for an LLC that you had to be published in a publication. And so he got me published in like the cheapest publication you could, I think somewhere in like Long Island or whatnot. And so each state has its own nuances to it. So being able to work with a professional is much easier than going to, LegalZoom or whatnot and doing it on your own. There's a lot of mistakes that are to be made. To piggyback on what you said, the second thing that I did was hire a different type of lawyer who was focused on creating terms and conditions for my website, who created all these agreement forms for me. And I really liked the way that he did his law, because again, I didn't have much money. I'm just starting out here. I don't have I'm not able to put all my eggs in the legal basket at this point. And he charged a subscription model. So he charged $99 a month for a year, and you could get 3 different documents created. So rather than paying like a bulk price right up front, for me at that time, that was more digestible than paying thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars at a given point.
I think though, to kind of close up the lawyer funds, Emily and I would say this is one area we suggest not DIYing.
Yes.
As its law. So there are times you can be scrappy and times to not be scrappy. And, when it comes to all things legal, we suggest getting it right. So that's one cost to prepare for. What's another one?
Tech. And again, I want to just go back to the beginning. A lot of times people start a business and I think there's this misconception that the business just happens out of thin air, but really there is tech involved. And one of the big realizations I had was I never used my personal computer after leaving corporate. So I had to really dust off my personal computer and see if it was up to snuff to actually support what I wanted to do. Ultimately, I ended up a year into my business getting a new computer, and I've actually had 2 computers since I started my business. So and if you're a Mac user, they're not cheap, unfortunately, but they are a good investment, especially if you're a Mac user or an Apple user. Everything talks with one another. So I think the computer is one of the biggest tech expenses that you have to factor in and you have to account for.
And as you grow, you can get more fancy things. Like, right, I have at this point a ring light, 2 additional monitors, a mic, a nice camera. I did not have all this when I first started. I just had my laptop. So minimally, you will need some sort of computer. Additional tech is optional.
Yeah. And I think that's a great thing to point out, Lex. Like, we're both talking on microphones right now. They're not super expensive, but they're not a must have and a right now thing unless you are on YouTube or you're podcasting right out of the gate. But most likely you're not. So save your pennies to buy that at a later date.
Yep. Okay. So the next thing or category expense to think about is accounting and bookkeeping. And how did you go about this category when you started?
So I asked my friends who were entrepreneurs what they were using, and they all suggested I did QuickBooks. So I signed up for QuickBooks Online, which I think at the time I started was like $10.99 a month or $12.99 a month. It was nominal. And here's where I screwed up, guys. I did it all myself, and I still kept my spreadsheets, but with QuickBooks, I wasn't as proficient in QuickBooks. So if you are going to do it yourself and you are going to use a sophisticated system like QuickBooks, I advise you take a class or you learn from a professional on how to do it. Or when the time comes that you have enough invoices coming in or enough recurring revenue, hire a bookkeeper. And when I hired a bookkeeper, it was probably a year or two into my business, and it was about $50 a month. And she saved me so much energy and so much time that I've just made a mess out of the situation. But I just want to caveat, in addition to using QuickBooks, in addition to getting beautiful reports given to me monthly, I still love monitoring my expenses the old-fashioned way by using spreadsheets and by categorizing like tech or networking or entertainment. So I know, oh my God, I spent how much money on coffee dates this month? That's bonkers. And just having a checks and balance that QuickBooks and a bookkeeper doesn't really permit you. What do you think, Lex?
Yeah, I think that's great. I did open a business bank account. So there was
Oh,
like
yes.
you had to like have $100, I don't remember what it was. They
I think
gave
it
you
was 15,
$100.
yeah, 1,500 or something like that.
I don't remember. Well, that was for ours. Anyways, I digress. So I did open a business bank account when you big everyone got to see that fun face on YouTube. If not, again, go look at YouTube. I opened a business bank account. So if we tack that onto that category, I then started by DIYing spreadsheets with just Excel. And the reason I did this is I feel like I got really good advice from a former CEO of mine that one of the keys to having a successful business is to really know your numbers. And so I did not outsource accounting and bookkeeping right away, even though it would have been really easy, because I wanted to force myself to understand and learn all the different nuances that went into my business from a number standpoint. So this was an area I did get scrappy. I think like 6 months in, I got my first software, which I chose FreshBooks at the time. I've now switched to QuickBooks. And then by year 2.5 of my business, when I felt like I really did understand my accounting and my numbers, then I finally onboarded the bookkeeper we both use now for Ready Set Coach, and the PR bar, shout out to Via Bookkeeping. So, and we pay roughly about $150 a month for her services. She has different tiers, but just to give you guys some actual numbers to think about. So I started Scrappy to learn my numbers. I then got the software. FreshBooks, I believe, was about $25 a month at the time. I think for QuickBooks, we're paying $55. I don't, that might be.
I think it's a little, I think a little less than that. I think we're paying like 45.
Well, you can look online, go whatever
Yeah.
software you're looking at, you can go look online. There's different levels depending on how intricate or what, level of the software you sign up for, which, speaking of the next category, softwares.
Yeah. And I think softwares are fascinating because a lot of them hook you with freemiums. And we're also not in the generation of buying your Windows package and like buying it once and you're good and you're set. Everything is a SaaS-based system for the most part, which means either you pay like a one-time annual fee or you pay a monthly fee. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lex, I can't really think of anything that you straight out pay one price for and you own it now.
No.
Can you? Right?
Maybe, but I can't think of any. Yeah.
I truly can't. Everything is kind of turned into this freemium SaaS-based model. So first and foremost, you don't have to spend much money on softwares, but as your business gets more sophisticated, as you get more sophisticated, as you have more offerings, you're going to want to pay that extra money to make your life easier. And so one of my favorite things that I hacked for a very long time was Calendly. Calendly is a free tool to schedule phone calls or Zoom meetings with people. And they have a free account where you can make one free appointment. I think it can be 30 minutes, it can be an hour, but it's free. But if you want to have another call, if you want to create a podcast link, or if you want to create a 15-minute link, that's going to be more money. And then they have different tiers of sorts of how you can pay. So that is one tool that I pay for. And I very, 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 very gladly hand over my $144 a year to pay for Calendly, because the time spent of scheduling meetings is very valuable for me. And I'd rather spend that time bringing in money versus scheduling a meeting with someone.
And we have a whole episode, guys, on software and systems for coaches. So we won't dive too much into all of them right now, but we want you to know that this is a category of expense. And you can start most softwares semi-free. And to Em's point, as you get more income, you can decide to invest a little further or go a little more premium. Again, Zoom has a free version, then there's a paid version. You can try free trials as well. So this just really has to be something that you choose, whether you invest in or you get a little bit more scrappy with. But I'm going to point you to that other episode to learn more specifics.
Lex, what's another software that you right out of the gate invested in?
A software? A software I invested in was Pipedrive. Coming from a larger company, was really used to having a CRM system, and I thought I needed one as a small business. And so this actually was an expense that I paid for and didn't really use. So that was an investment mistake I made. What about you?
Oh my gosh, not right out of the gate, but Salesforce. I bought Salesforce a few years ago, and it was a good discount price and whatnot. And I ended up trying to use it maybe like 3 times and just failing miserably. And when the renewal came up, I was like, goodbye, thank you so much, but no, I do not need this anymore, and chose a free CRM tool that better suited my needs.
Which, again, shout out to that episode for more. Okay, another category is a website and everything that comes with a website. So a website, you're going to have to pay for a domain name. That's the URL. So readysetcoachprogram.com, for example. You can either purchase that domain name from a third-party site like GoDaddy, or depending on the website hosting platform you choose, it might be included, but that website hosting platform likely will also have a fee. So for example, we do Squarespace for Ready Set Coach. I know Emily and I both do WordPress for our other businesses, but for Ready Set Coach, we do Squarespace. We pay monthly for that. We have a domain name. Domain names are really, really affordable unless you go after something really, really common. Do go to GoDaddy.com, type in the URL you want, and you'll see some costs. It can go anywhere from $1 for your first year up to $5,000 if you want like the most coveted URL of all time. And then the other thing to not forget about is your email. Again, and what I mean by that is we have hello@readysetcoachprogram.com as opposed to readysetcoachprogram@gmail.com. This is another category where you can choose to get scrappy or not. Emily and I would say that it really does look a hell of a lot more credible to have that official Gmail. So this would be an area we would invest in.
And what she means by official Gmail, meaning like hello@readysetcoach.com. So eliminating the Gmail, but fun fact, your Gmail or your account, your email is hosted through G Suite. So that's an opportunity it's usually about $6 a month. And the more emails that you add on, the more money it is. And then also the one fun thing that they're really good at doing is getting you for storage. I don't know about you, Lex, but that is a fee that I found out about with time. I don't even know how many emails I've sent in my life, but probably in the like high multiple thousands of emails, but emails and Google Docs and videos and these podcasts, they're all hosted and stored in my Google Drive. And so because of that, that costs money and that costs time. So I pay about, I think I pay $199 a month for extra storage, which is, again,
you mean
is
one period 99?
Yes,
Got
one period, $1.99 for storage, but then it is a nominal thing. And similarly for my team too, when I add an official email for them, but when they're gone, I get rid of that email because I want that $6 back.
Yeah. Okay. So softwares, websites, tech, lawyers, accounting. What is another category we want to have on your guys' radar? Basic creative and branding support. This is very much a category you can invest in or get scrappy in based on your skill set. I fully did my website, my branding, because that's something I feel confident in. But if you don't have a creative bone in your body, this might be an area to invest in.
Yeah, and I'm with you, Lex. I think at the beginning, you're testing things. You're still in the testing the waters, testing if you want to actually do this. So before you hawk over $5,000 to a branding strategist, like this might be an opportunity for you to really get to understand what you want to be and who you want to be talking to and the colors you want. So I don't think that's something that you need to do straight out of the gate. I had my roommate who was again, luckily tapping the network for resources, but I had my roommate design my logo for me. I told her I wanted it to feel like a warm hug. And then Lexie designed our logo for Ready, Set, Coach using Canva. She did a beautiful job there. So there's great resources and tools out there. You can also, if you do want to outsource it, check out things like 99 Designs. 99?
Maybe. I know Fiverr is another.
Fiverr, Upwork, things like that. And you can have like someone do a one-off thing for you. I think it's 99 Designs. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting the balloon song stuck in my head.
I don't know. I don't know that one, but this is a category you're going to hear very split advice on. And all I will say is I think there's incredible value in branding, but we have certainly seen coaches without exquisite branding have success. So, choose however you want.
Yeah. And I think another thing too that goes hand in hand with branding.
Video podcast.
Here we are, the real faces behind it all, is photography. And first off, guys, your iPhone, which I'm assuming if you have an iPhone or a Samsung or whatever, take incredible photos. So don't neglect those photos as photos that you can't be using, because you can totally be using those. So Lex, what did you do for photographers? Did you hire and do a brand photo shoot right out of the gate?
I had a friend who is a photographer who I did a brand photo shoot with, because I do think you need some set of photos that are professional. Now, if you can get a professional looking photo from your iPhone. So this isn't saying go hire a 10K brand photographer. You can get scrappy here, but it's definitely a category that is important. What about you?
I did a trade with someone. I think I did introductions, and I was really good at finding photographers who were just starting out, which over time, I also realized the type of photography that I liked, what I liked to invest in, what I'd like to spend money on versus what I thought was kind of not so great. And my eye became more discerning. So with time and experience, I was able to assess when it was the right moment for me to invest in photography. But right out of the gate, I was definitely able to be scrappy with it.
2 more categories you want to take, and then we'll wrap up and give you guys some homework. First is marketing spend. When we say marketing spend, we're talking about spend to join online communities like 6 Degree Society, spend to attend paid networking events, the spend needed to take a potential client on a coffee date, for example. That is a category to have on your radar.
Yeah. And I'd also add to that, if you are someone that you know for a fact you're not going to be able to work out of your apartment or your home, maybe you'll want to make a category for a co-working space. So that could be a space like a WeWork or a female focused one, but it's a place where you're able to surround yourself with like-minded individuals and continue finding that accountability and motivation moving forward. Not everyone needs it. I definitely was a jumper my first year, where I would sign up for the free month trial at pretty much every space that was available. And it was great because I was able to make a lot of friends and make a lot of acquaintances, and also try out a lot of spaces, but it also didn't give me the consistency that a lot of people desire.
And the last category is actually the third expense I invested when launching my coaching business. So number one was a lawyer. Number two was some tech. I did a lot of hacksaw systems. So I guess that could be tied with three. But actually, one of the first investments I made was a coach. And I felt like putting my money here because I knew that hiring a coach would help me fast track where I wanted to go. But what about you?
Same. That was, I truly quit my job, was giving my notice still, sat next to a coach at dinner. And here's the caveat of investing in her. I didn't realize this at the time, but she was a relatively new coach. So out of the gate, we were able to do a trade. And so I was kind of her beta client, and it was great. It was so helpful for me, but I was also able to save a lot of money while also getting the accountability I needed. So while I'm very pro hiring a more further along coach, if you really want to be scrappy and do want that accountability, there's a lot of people doing beta clients that you can always test them out for, a few sessions before they start charging.
Yeah. And so here's kind of the big question that we want to wrap this up with. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? You might have heard you have to spend money to make money. And there's truth to that, but there's also the ability to get flexible and creative with how and where you spend. So some homework we have for you is to first sit down and figure out a general budget. You feel like you have zero money, then really challenge yourself. Can you open a new credit card? Can you go for a business loan? Can you apply for a grant? There are ways that you can get creative if this is something you really want. It could also be setting aside $100 from your paycheck a month, right, for a core set amount of time. So of that budget, we want you to then go through all the categories we just listed and start to really prioritize where you're going to put your investment when you're first starting out.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful, wonderful homework, Lex. And I also wanted to add one more revenue stream too, or a way to get money is I Fund Women is another great platform that does like a crowdfunding for women or Kickstarter or whatnot, dependent on the product. But I think being able to ask for money that's not a crime. Like, I definitely encourage you to think creatively about where that money comes from.
Yep. I love it. Well, guys, this is wrapping up our very first video podcast for the Ready Set Coach podcast. Until next time.
We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.